to the Rehab Christian Center Sunday morning experience. I'm Dr. Zeb. It's so good to be here with you today and so grateful to have you tune in with us this very cold Sunday morning and in North Carolina. And so grateful that you have joined with us this morning. Incredible message today. I'm going to just tell you from the beginning, this is probably a series. I'm going to try my best not to drag this out. But an incredible message today. I'm teaching from the subject, it's me against me. And this is going to be incredible. It's going to be a game changer. It's going to be something that is so practical that you can apply to your life. And I just don't know, y'all, how I'm going to get all of this out in one session. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I'm just warning you now that this might be at least a 2-part session or series, rather, where we will conclude it next Sunday, which is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And so just grateful to have you tuned in and just so grateful to have you share with us. So thankful for the many of you that reached out to me last week that are praying for me, that had so many kind words to say and share with me. I love you from the bottom of my heart and just so grateful to God for you and the opportunity to serve you. It has really meant everything in the world to me and just excited to be here again with you this morning. Let's do it. Let's get into the word. I don't want to waste time. Like, share the video. We are only on Facebook and YouTube this morning. Again, Instagram just really sucks. I don't know what's going on with Instagram right now. Can't share the declaration on Instagram anymore. It just really limits our ability to bring the full virtual experience the way we do. But we're excited to be here on Facebook, the Rehab Christian Center, on YouTube at TheREHABCC, and we're grateful to be here with you this morning. So go ahead and start liking the video, sharing the video, tag people, tell them to get up, let them know that the Rehab Christian Center is live and on the air. And Doc has an incredible message today. It's me against me. This is going to be good. And I'm stoked this morning. I'm excited to teach it. All right. So go ahead and like the video, share the video. Let's get the declaration up on the screen, please, so that we can go ahead and move forward. I'm so excited to be here today and just so grateful to have you with us. Let's walk through the declaration. People are still asking, Doc, what does REHAB stand for? It stands for Restore, Evangelize, Hope, Alternative, Breakthrough. It's the 5 pillars by which we've attempted to operate this ministry, even in the virtual space, and we'll continue to do so. And we walk through the declaration on Sundays because we want you to set the tone for your week. Somebody texted me last week and said, Pastor, I need you to hold on to this declaration and continue to give this to me every week because I'm in my house and I'm screaming it out loud. And I'm the same way, Kiana. If you are tuned in this morning, I actually repeat this declaration to myself during the week as well. I have it memorized. And because I've been saying it for so long, and hopefully you do as well. Hopefully you've been tuned in long enough to have this and know this by heart. But if not, no big deal. We've got it on the screen. And I want you to repeat this declaration with me. I'm going to say it and pause to give you an opportunity to say this with me. But let's walk through the declaration this morning. All right, let's do it together. Say this with me. Restore. We declare that everything that is broken, lost, hurt, or destroyed that belongs to us and has been designed by God is restored. My faith is restored. My joy is restored. My mind is restored. Even my lost time is restored. I am no longer broken. The fact that I'm alive means I have another chance. My faith has restored me. And right now, his love is making me whole. Evangelize. Say this with me. We declare that God helped us so we can help somebody else. He loved me when I was unlovable. He changed me when I was a mess. His love lifted me when I was down. I'm not perfect, but I'm free. And anything that came for me can't keep me. Because I'm free, my circle is next. My family is saved. My friends are blessed. My plans are successful. My goals are ahead of schedule. And anything connected to me is blessed, just like me. Hope. Would you say this with me? We declare that everything that is missing is not lost. In Jesus, I have hope. And this hope makes me confident. It doesn't matter what happens to me or around me. I'm going to win. My relationships are winning. My goals are winning. My family is winning. My neighbor is winning. This city will win, and my virtual role has the victory. My past is defeated, and my future is brighter today than it was yesterday. Alternatives. Say this with me. We declare that God made us different. I'm a royal child, the light of the world, and the hope of my city. I respect the past, but I don't look like what I've been through. I love the church, and my life is balanced. I love coming to church, but I like flights, boats, and vacations. Amen. My whole life is blessed. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am a lender, not a borrower. And every place I go belongs to me. Let's finish it. We declare that God has a breakthrough with our name on it. I have some challenges, but I am not defeated. No weapon formed against me can prosper. And I know that all things are working for my good. Things are not breaking down. They are about to break through. There is a breakthrough in my career. There is a breakthrough in my home. There is a breakthrough in my health. There is a breakthrough in my finances. I am here on purpose, for a purpose, and everything that went wrong is getting ready to turn around. My dear friends, did you make this declaration this morning? Do me a favor. You know the drill. We've been saying it all year. We're going to continue to say it throughout this year. I want you to type in the comments in all capital letters, a win is a win. Come on, hurry, do it. A win is a win. I want somebody to know this morning that you are winning in this season of your life. And if it doesn't feel like you're winning, here's how you measure. Are you making progress? Doc, what's progress? Are you moving at all? Yes, Doc, but I ain't going as fast as I want to go. As long as you're moving forward, that is, and not moving backwards, you're making progress. And if you are moving backwards, let this be your notification to turn the car around and go in a new direction. A choir in the 90s used to sing a song, one of my favorite songs as a musician, especially, called I'm Heading in a New Direction. I don't want to go the same old way. And if you are not going and progressing forward, you have an opportunity starting right now to turn the car around and go the right direction. Type it in the comments quickly. A win is a win. Hurry, y'all. A win is a win. My family's winning. My neighbors are winning. The city will win. My row is winning. My money is winning. My business is winning. My health is winning. My mentality is winning. Everything about me in my life is winning. You've got to embrace that attitude on this morning and be encouraged to know that I don't care what the devil attempts to present to you. Let's get this lighting right. I don't care what the devil attempts to present to you. You've got to understand that progress means you are winning. A win is a win. I need you to hold on to that on this morning. Listen, our scripture for the week, Psalms 91. Psalms 91 is our scripture for the week. I want you to read that, meditate on it, pray on it, apply it to your life, journal about it if you're doing that. But Psalms chapter 91 is our scripture for the week. We want you to record that. Make plans to join us for Explanation Thursday, 6:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A powerful Explanation Thursday this past Thursday. We're talking about Galatians chapter 5, and which really set the standard and set the scene for what we're going to discuss this morning. But I tell you, just powerful. 6:45, we were up, and hopefully you had a chance to take a look at that. Share that video. If you have not, go to our Instagram page. It is exclusively on Instagram. Since it has limited capabilities for us, we try to do that exclusively on that network. But go out and take a look at Explanation Thursday this past Thursday. It was powerful. And then make plans to join us this Tuesday for Life Study. We'll be here for Tuesday for Life Study, 7:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right here at the Rehab Christian Center. And we should be should be on all networks. All right. We should be on all networks. So Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, we should be right here. All right. Tuesday for life study this Tuesday. Now, let's get into this. I want you to type in the comments in all capital letters. Today's subject, it's me against me. Ho, 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 ho. It's me against me. Would you do that? It's me against me. This is going to be good today. And obviously, we're not going to get through all of this. So let's get into it. Galatians chapter number 6 is where we're going. I want you to grab that. Galatians chapter number 6. I have it in the New International Version. But Galatians chapter 6 is so powerful. Honestly, I don't even think it matters what version you read it in. You're going to get a lot out of this chapter. But Galatians chapter 6, I have the NIV. Now, I don't want you to get that. Type in the comments right now. It's me against me. Hurry. It's me against me. And I want you to give me about 35, 40 minutes this morning, 40 minutes to really share something with you that I think is so important. For many of you, let me get some water. For many of you in this season of your life, and I think you're going to find this to be a very relevant word. All right, type in the comments. It's me against me. That's today's subject. It is me, or rather, it's me. Well, it is. It's me against me. All right, and that's what we're dealing with. We're in Galatians chapter number 6, and we're going to deal with verses 1 through 6. All right, now, before we go there, I'm going to do this in reverse order. Let me give you your first note. I want you to record this. I know that's not traditional. I'm not traditional. But let me give you your first note before we go there. Your first note is this. Record this. The greatest challenge to personal development, besides honesty, is focusing on yourself. The greatest challenge to personal development, besides honesty, because you heard me talk about this many times. If you're not going to be honest with yourself, it's impossible to change. It's impossible to grow. It's impossible for God to even develop you if you're not first willing to be honest. We have to be honest with us. But besides honesty, the greatest challenge to personal development is focusing on yourself. It is. And what tends to happen is most people focus on everything and everybody else but themselves. This is going to be so good today. Oh, I got to pace myself. This 40 minutes goes by fast. Listen to me. What is so crazy is, y'all, we are living in a time where people put so much energy into everything and everybody else but themselves, and wonder why their life is sputtering. Wonder why things aren't moving and progressing the way they hoped they would progress. I don't believe that's accidental. I don't think it's accidental that when you focus on everybody and everything else but yourself, it is impossible to progress forward if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. Come on, y'all. I'm dropping them already. We're just getting started. It is impossible for you to progress forward in your life if you are not sincerely attention to what you're doing. I was driving somewhere. Where were we? I think I was with the kids. Where were we? I think it may have been Sunday night. I can't remember. And coming down the highway, and traffic was backed up a little. Let me take it back. Traffic was slow. And, so I'm thinking, it must be an accident. But then it didn't look like it because, cars were just kind of slow. So then I just thought, well, maybe the traffic is just bottlenecking. Maybe it's just a bottleneck, right? It was near an exit, things like that. You get off an exit onto the highway. Sometimes traffic gets so slow to let people in, that kind of thing. So as I was getting closer, I noticed, well, it wasn't a bottleneck, but it was an accident. But what was so crazy on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on this 5-lane highway, the accident was on the far right. If you're facing forward, it would have been on your far right. The accident was on the far right, and it was off the road. So it was not in any lane. Accident was on the far right off the road. And all of the lanes except for the lane right next to the accident. It's 5-lane highway. So all of the lanes except for the lane next to the accident were open. It wasn't a lot of cars outside. It wasn't like it was rush hour traffic or nothing. So I'm starting to see the accident had already passed, by the way. There was a tow truck there. You could tell it was a flatbed. It had the thing, it was slanted. The bed was slanted. And apparently they were getting ready to pull this car. I only saw one car up onto this flatbed. So I'm thinking in my mind, driving down the road, then what is the big hoopla? Like, why is traffic, and I think some of y'all are starting to catch this already, why is traffic jamming over here in the far 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes over one car accident that clearly is already over and only has a car there that's there to pull it? What's the holdup for? Y'all know what the holdup was for. The holdup was because people were paying more attention to the accident than to the direction they were driving. People were paying more attention to the accident than the direction that they were driving. Y'all, would you not believe that because people were slowing up and looking over there, going as slow as they could to stop and look and see what was going on with the car? Watch. That more accidents were almost caused by paying attention to something that was not their business. There's a word here. When you master you, you're too focused to do two things. I want you to record this now. When you master you, you're too focused to do two things. You ready? You're too focused to pay attention to anybody else. Come on, that's number one. Pay attention to anybody else. When you're really focused on you, you're too focused to be paying attention to anybody else. When you are managing your own business, you don't have time to manage anybody else's. Y'all, let me tell you something about tea. We're going to talk a little bit about tea this morning. Let me tell you something about tea. One of the greatest compliments you can have when it comes to tea, i.e. people's business. Some of y'all like, Pastor, what's tea? Somebody else's business. Let me tell you something about tea. When you really focus on what you're supposed to be doing and what you got going on in your life, let me tell you what I've learned firsthand experience. When you really focus on what you're doing and what you got going on, you get to a place where you become so focused on what you're doing that hearing about somebody else is breaking news. Y'all, let me tell you your greatest compliment. Your greatest compliment is when you are the last person to hear business. Your greatest compliment is when you are the last person to hear business. Hey, you didn't hear about such and such getting pregnant? No. Man, where you been? That came out weeks ago. Been working. I've been paying my bills. I've been drinking water. I've been minding my business. Can I help you? You're going to know you've mastered you when you're too focused to pay attention to anybody else but you. And people will take that focus as being disconnected, disjointed, aloof, unaware. No, ain't that you're unaware. Your focus is linear. It's straight ahead. Because you realize that minding other people's business don't pay your bills. Minding other people's drama don't fix your drama. Watch this. Worrying about somebody else's man ain't gonna save your man. Come on, y'all. Is this making sense to anybody? Y'all fill it up with hearts if it is. Like and share the video. Is this making sense to anybody? Y'all, I'm just saying to you, when you master you, you're going to be too focused to pay attention to anybody else but you. As much as I'd love to have the latest tea when it first comes out, some of y'all are human, walking, talking TMZs. You heard the show TMZ, the organization TMZ. Some of y'all get the dirt fast. As soon as the dirt come out, it's in your hand. And I honestly don't see, unless you're a journalist, you blog for a bit of a living, or you do that kind of work for a living, I don't see how you always can be the first person to hear about stuff when it comes. How? Because you don't have enough business. And you're paying attention to everybody else but you. Okay? So when you master you, two things are going to happen. One, you'll be too focused to pay attention to anybody else but you. Here's the second thing that's going to happen. When you master you, watch, you'll be too exhausted to master anyone else. You'll be too exhausted to master anyone else. Y'all, I was telling somebody last week, it's a true story. Y'all, when my head hits the pillow at night, I remember when I was younger, didn't have as many responsibilities. You know, I could work all day and then come home and then sit on the bed or lay in the bed and, you know, be on the phone like anybody else, scrolling or whatever for hours and be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, have insomnia and not be able to sleep. And that was normal. I didn't get up, 2 hours later, because even back then, I was getting up at like 5:30, 5:45. As I got older, the time that I get up just started to, get earlier and earlier. I could do that when I was younger. And part of it was because I was younger. And part of it was because I didn't have as much as responsibility. Y'all, I was telling somebody last week, my kids already know. When my head hits the pillow, they got about 6 minutes to need me. They got about 6 minutes to need me. Because if they don't catch me in 6 minutes, I'm staring at my eyelids. I'm staring at my eyelids, y'all. Y'all, when you master your ability to focus on you, I'm here to tell you, you're literally too exhausted mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. You're literally, even financially, you're literally too exhausted to be able to divert any unnecessary energy in a direction that ain't necessary. So yeah, when you master you, you're too focused to pay attention to anybody else, but you're also too exhausted to master anyone else. You ain't got time trying to master nobody else. You're tired from trying to master your own life. You don't have time trying to nitpick through other people's life or situation. You're busy nitpicking through your own life and situation. You don't have time to highlight and to shade what other people are doing. You're busy shading your own life, so that you can show up for you as the best version of you. This is what happens, y'all, when we really master us. When we master us, we understand that the ultimate goal in life is to focus on what you're doing. Save yourself. Not your mama, not your son, not your coworker, not bae. Save yourself. Bible says, save yourself from this untoward generation. That in fact, your greatest position of power and influence is going to be to make sure that you have on your life jacket first. This is so powerful. Now, let's get into this. Galatians 6. Galatians 6, and let's see if we can get through a few of these verses this morning. All right. I've got Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. I'm in the New Living Translation. I'm in the New International Version. Galatians chapter 6, verse 1 in the NIV. Let's look at what Paul says. He says this in verse 1. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. So Paul says that if somebody around you gets caught up in something crazy, watch. He doesn't say everybody. He says you who live by the Spirit. King James Version says those that are spiritual. Those of us that live by the Spirit should restore them how? In gentleness. Watch this, y'all. I want you to record this now. I'm about to run around my house. You ready? It's easier to restore something if you've already experienced restoration. It is easy to restore something if you've already experienced restoration. It's easier to restore something. I ain't saying it's impossible, but it's easier to restore something if you've already experienced restoration. So Paul says you should restore the person who's caught in sin, but do it gently. But watch yourselves. Why? Or you also may be tempted. This is important. When you've ever, and this is the best example I can give you. I remember when the pandemic hit. Everybody was at home. Nobody could go anywhere. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm home. And I got all these projects around my house that I need to do. I need to paint. I need to do stuff with the carpet. I need to do stuff with the basement. I had so many just different things. Like my house just doesn't even look the same. And I'd say 80% of this work I've done on my own. But y'all, let me tell you how I got the confidence to do it. Doc ain't no Bob Vila or nothing. You ain't gonna see me on HGTV like Sister Michelle, or A&E like Sister Michelle. You're not gonna see that. Doc ain't Bob Vila. And so I was like, well, it's the pandemic. I'm working. Kids are home working, but I got all this downtime. I need to be doing something. So I said, let me find a project around here that I can do that's small and tackle it. So started with my basement. Painted my basement, darkened the basement. And it's funny. After I finished that first simple restoration project, what do you think happened to my confidence? My confidence after finishing one project of restoration started to rise. Why? Because in completing one project that involved restoration, it was its completion that gave me the faith and trust and belief and hope to know that if I was able to restore paint, I could probably restore carpet. I need y'all to hear me today. When you've experienced restoration, it builds experience. Some of us are easy to restore other people. You know why? Because we've had to be restored. Come on, Zion. Come on. You know I'm telling the truth on this good Sunday morning. Oh, yeah. It's easy to be mean to people when you ain't never failed or fallen. If you've never failed or you've never fallen, it's easy to be mean to people. It's easy to be hard on people. It's easy to condemn people to hell. This is why I laugh at some preachers sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with the gospel message of heaven and hell. Heaven and hell are places, real places. There's nothing wrong with that message. But let me tell you something. Preachers and pastors that get up here, that be wearing you out and cussing you out and stop doing this or you're going to go to hell. This is hell. Hell, hell. This, you're going to do this, you go to hell. It's crazy How? A lot of times those messages are void of grace because they're often preached by people who've never fallen. And I'm here to tell you from personal experience. If you've ever experienced a fall, it don't mean you won't stop. It don't mean you'll stop preaching heaven and hell. If you've ever fallen, you're going to look at grace and you're going to look at restoration a little bit different. And some of you cannot, like Paul says, restore. It says in the B clause, you who live by the Spirit should do what? Restore that person how? Gently. You can't be gentle because some of y'all have never fallen. People that are around you can't be gentle with you when you fail. You know why? Because they never experienced a fall, at least not publicly. And so it's hard, y'all, if you ain't never experienced a fall and had to be rescued yourself, or you did fall, but you did it so privately that nobody knew about it. So you popped out in public as if everything's okay. If either one of those boats belong to you, then it's hard for you to restore somebody gently. But I'm here to tell you that if you've ever had to have something in your life, relationship, person, situation, job, career, house, car, health, mindset, mental health, what if you've ever had to have anything in your life restored, let me tell you something. It's so much easier to do it when you learn how to do for others what you needed done for yourself. See, people struggle with forgiveness because they ain't honest about the times that they had to be forgiven. And if they've never been forgiven, if any of you gonna lie in my face and say, "Well, Doc, Pastor, I ain't never had to be forgiven," that's a lie. I'm calling you to your face right now in an absolute lie. All of us have needed to be forgiven of something. So if all of us have needed to be forgiven of something, then we should all have, come on, Paul, we should all have a common foundational base that allows us to restore others. The base foundation for restoration is built through your experience. Record that now. The base foundation for restoration, the base foundation for restoration is experience. How do I know? Well, I told you about the paint job. Did the paint job. It's like, wow, this came out really good. So then I did another room. Wow, this came out good. I said, well, let me just go and do the whole house. What was happening to my confidence as I was checking off one room first at a time, and then a space, and then going a larger? What happened to my confidence in my ability for the paint on my wall started going up. And what we don't realize is the base foundation for restoration is experience. That in fact, we talk about this every Sunday with the win is a win. That in fact, if you can get one win in your life as it relates to something being restored, you have a foundation to where you can help others experience that same level of restoration. Y'all, does this make sense at all? This is powerful. And people who have never been restored or who have not been honest about their flaws will not understand this message. Those be the people that sit back with their arms folded, their legs crossed, being judgmental either in their hearts, in their minds, or both, acting as if they've never failed or never sinned. Let me tell you what experience has taught me. Y'all ready? People who act like they don't sin normally sin the worst. Oh, I know it's quiet this morning. I ain't even looking at the comments. I know it's quiet. Did y'all hear what I said? People who act like they don't sin normally sin the worst. Y'all ready? Preachers who always preach hell 24/7, every Sunday. I mean, you don't even get a break on Hanukkah. And people who preach hell 24/7, that's all they preach, hellfire and brimstone. Let me tell you something. They don't have a foundation for true restoration. And I know that hurts. But you cannot put yourself in a position where you begin to think so highly of yourself that you don't understand the power of experience that we all receive as a result of restoration. Is this making sense? Look, let me move. My time is rolling. This is, gosh. I just don't be having time. All right, let's keep going. Look at this. I'm in Galatians chapter 6. Y'all like the video? Share the video. We've got about 15 more minutes. I got to hurry. Like I said earlier, this is definitely going to be a part 2, as you can tell. We just dealt with one verse, and we're not going to do the entire chapter verse by verse, but there are a lot of these verses we're going to do. Before we do that, let's stay on one real quick, because there's something I left off here. So Paul says, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. Watch. But watch yourself. We didn't deal with this. Or you also may be tempted. Isn't it funny how people that are quick to destroy people who have messed up ends up oftentimes going through very similar things in their lives, where they turn around and then need the same restoration that they failed to give out to somebody else? Y'all, you can't not give people restoration and then be shocked when you don't receive it. This is the big one right here. You can't give people grace and be shocked that when you go through a season of your life and you need grace, nobody's there to give it out to you. Some of you are calling people not dealing with you as being fake and phony and they changed. It could be that they don't deal with you because they extended something to you that you refuse to extend to them. This is a word. Are y'all listening to me? They could be acting the way they are because they extended you grace, and when they needed it, you were nowhere to be found. This is why you are entering a season of your life right now. Somebody needs to hear this. Hear what God is saying. You're entering into a season right now of your life where you don't want nobody in your life who ain't extending to you everything that you extended to them. That's where you are. If you're going to grow and progress forward, you got to understand that not only is your biggest enemy you, but if you're going to connect and attach to other people, they need to be there for you just like you are for them. And if not, they become a liability and cease from being an asset. Is this making sense? All right. Look at verse 2. Let me hurry. Yeah, I got to get through at least verse 3. Let me get through at least verse 3 here. Yeah. Look at verse number 2. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. I'm in the NIV. Look at this. Galatians 6, verse 2 says, so after Paul says, watch yourselves or you might be tempted. The very thing that you're running somebody else down about, you might be tempted to do the same. But look where he says, verse 2. He says, then carry each other's burdens. And in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. So Paul says, listen, you got people around you that's dealing with something. Not only should you restore them in a gentle manner, watch, you should also carry their burdens. Y'all, I know what it's like. Oh, I didn't even know this thing was in this message today, but it makes sense. I know what it's like, y'all, to be surrounded by a lot of people and feel alone at the same time. Doc, that's impossible. That's impossible. Doc, I know if I'm around a lot of people, I'm going to feel love, I'm going to feel support, blah, 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 blah. No, sweetheart. As you grow higher and rise higher, the air gets thinner. The air gets thinner the higher you rise up. I know that was not my smoke detector. Sister Chris, if she hears that, she's going to go nuts and start clowning. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets. So we have to understand the power of carrying each other's burdens. That if I'm there for you, I should be able to expect you to be there for me. Y'all, those days are gone, man. Listen, those days are gone. The law of Christ is just not the Ten Commandments, but it's also in how we handle one another. Paul, in fact, picks it up in this verse, or in this particular book, where he talks about the ultimate goal is that we love each other as we love ourselves. That's fulfilling the law of Christ. But what do people do? People only get concerned about that. I didn't witness all of this. I witnessed some of this. I used to hear my father and mom talk a lot about how they were raised. And my grandmother, my father's mom, talk a lot about how they were raised too, and how they would say that after church, um, between services, because they would have a morning, they would have, number one, they would have Sunday school, and then after they had Sunday school, they would have review, and then they would have morning worship, and then they would have like a 3 o'clock service, and then they would have like a 7 o'clock Sunday night service. So they were in church like four services a Sunday. And I remember they used to talk about how, I used to remember hearing my grandma talk about, and my dad and mom talk about how back then the old saints, because people didn't have cars, they didn't have a lot of money, folks would put resources and stuff together to be able to feed the kids, but this is how they did it. They would go to their cars. If they had a car, if somebody had a car, would open the trunk of the car and spread the food out in the back of the trunk on a blanket, and people would come to the trunk and eat out of the trunk of the car. Now, some of y'all saying, well, Doc, that's nasty, ill, that's pathetic. No, I call that carrying each other's burdens. I call that being for somebody else the same way that you are for somebody else, that you have the right to expect them to be for you. That's what I call it. You might call it something else or struggling. I call it bearing each other's burdens. I remember a day, y'all, when my mom cooked and dad cooked. I remember he cooked a lot when we were younger, and then as dad's career started going, and then mom was transitioning into a full-time mom. She obviously did more of the cooking. He was working because she was more at home with us. But my mama, I remember, and to this day, she does it. Y'all, believe it or not, yeah, that was my fire alarm. That's unbelievable. Believe it or not, y'all, there was a day, watch, where if you went over somebody's house and you were cooking, or they were cooking, and you went over Joe Smo's house, and Joe Smo, either by himself or with a family or friends, what he was cooking, when you walked in that house, they asked you what? You want anything to eat? They would say, hey, baby, go on in there and help yourself, make you a plate. I'm just talking about the era and the time that I woke up, was raised in. I would literally go over other places and with my folks, or sometimes alone, friends' houses in the neighborhood, outside of the neighborhood. And the first thing, if they were cooking food or had food in there, they would say to you, hey, Zeb, go and put your bag down. You want anything? Come in and get a plate. Y'all know what we do? We live in a time where literally people will sit there and eat the food in your face. Won't offer you nothing, won't offer you a knife, a fork, a spoon, a spork, chopsticks, nothing. Won't offer you nothing. And literally lack the self-awareness to know that that's not okay. Y'all, our culture has really changed and shifted. People will hide food. Set the food. It's getting cold outside. Folk cook the food and then put it in their garage so the food can stay cold. One, but also so people don't know they got the food. Like, it's wild. Y'all, we have to carry each other's burdens. Not ignore them. Not run away from them. I believe this. When you get the Spirit of Christ in your life, you should never have to worry about whether or not you're alone in what you're going through. Yes, don't y'all misunderstand me. There are going to be some seasons, there are going to be some things that you're going to have to face. It won't be for your friends. It won't be for your family. There are going to be some things you're going to have to face to get God's glory in your life. But aside from those things, y'all, it shouldn't be many burdens you go through as a believer where you shouldn't have somebody right there by your side that's encouraging you. It's important. I think one of the worst tragedies that we could see in church. So when a person comes in church, they got all of these burdens. They come in, they sit down. Nobody speaks to them. Nobody hugs them. Nobody engages them. They hear a good word. That's it. They get up and they walk out, not realizing, y'all, that that man or woman that walked in may have some burdens. Watch, that they need somebody else to help carry. Yes, I know we're supposed to give our burdens to the Lord, but understand, some people can't get to giving their burdens to God because they have not matured and progressed beyond what it means to give their burdens to someone else. And here's the fact. Here's the fact. When you're going through something and you need an immediate answer, sometimes you pray to God, He take all day. Now, y'all ain't gonna say it. I'll say it. Sometimes you pray to God, He take all day to answer your prayer. He don't have no time limit. He's God. He can do what He want to do. Sometimes when you pray and ask God to fix something, you might look up and 1 week turn into 1 year and you still ain't got no answer. Y'all, when we understand how to carry each other's burdens, then it becomes impossible for people to live in a space where they feel like they are enduring things on their own. I want you to type in the comments in all capital letters. This is a very powerful word right here. I want you to take this in. You ready? 4 words. Yes. 4 words. You are not alone. Somebody needs to hear this morning. You are not alone. Because I get it. You can be surrounded by a whole bunch of people and feel like you're by yourself. You can be going through something that's so rough that nobody wants to jump in the water and help you. But I want you to know this. You're not alone. Get around some strong believers. Get around some believers who have similar challenges as you, who have greater strength than you. And watch how they say, hey, get on my back. You're going through what you're going through, but I want you to get on my back. Giselle always asks me, Daddy, Dad, can we jump on your back? Can we jump on your neck? Like, number one, y'all too old. Number one. But I get it, because for a kid that jumps on someone's back or neck, it represents your burdens being lifted. I don't have to carry my weight now and walk. I don't have to carry my weight now and move through this stadium. No, I can jump on daddy's back neck. I can jump on daddy's mom's back neck, and they will carry me beyond my capacity. Last verse. Man, I just hate this. Gosh, I wish I could teach for about 2 hours this morning. Look at this. Verse 3, and I'm done. Galatians 6:3 says this. Watch. So then Paul says, carry each other's burden. That way you're fulfilling the law of Christ. You're doing what I'm telling you to do by carrying the burdens of other people and not allowing them to carry them by themselves. Look at what he says in verse 3. He says, but if anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. If anybody thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Let me ask y'all a magical question. And for me, this goes without saying, but I've always been shocked at the number of people who have misunderstood this verse. Y'all, does this verse mean that we should not have high self-esteem or high self-confidence or self-worth? It didn't say that. So just because somebody doesn't think they are something when they are not, doesn't mean that they don't believe in themselves. This verse is really all about humility. I want you to write that word in all capital letters. Humility. We're going to pick up here next Sunday. Why is humility so important, Doc? It's important because if you don't walk in humility and you're walking in arrogance, then you literally walk around acting as if you are something when you're not. It is impossible to be humble and be arrogant at the same time. I want you to record it now. You cannot be humble and arrogant at the same time. You cannot be humble and arrogant at the same time. I don't care who told you different. I don't care who you admire on TV that's different. I don't care about none of that. There's a gospel artist. I will not say her name. My close friends know how I feel about her. She's a legend. But let me tell you something. She's one of the meanest ladies I ever met. Meanest. Well, Doc, she could have been having a bad day that day. We all have bad days. I didn't want nothing from the lady. I remember playing. I was playing the keys, the gospel choir. We had to do a concert, and she was there, and she opened up, and I remember the way there were classmates that wanted to get a picture with her and talk to her, and she literally had her people. She just pointed to them and just kind of did like that, and her people walked up to my classmates and said, "Such and such, doesn't want a picture." Now, I want to be very careful with this, y'all, because when people are known, they have a right to privacy. I just need y'all to hear me. This is a double-edged sword. People do have a right to privacy when they are known. There's nothing wrong with you desiring your privacy. There's nothing wrong with you that if you are well known, wanting to go to a quiet, secluded place so you don't want to be bothered. So when I travel, I like to go to places like that. Why? Because I'm in the people helping, restoring business. So when Doc unplugs, I don't want to talk about no counseling, the coaching. I don't want to talk about no Jesus will. I don't want to talk about none of that. Doc needs to rewind, or rather unwind and reset. And y'all, there is nothing wrong with that. But I'm here to tell you, you can't be humble and arrogant at the same time, though. Reset. Just make sure you're not showing up arrogant. Because Paul says here real plainly, he says, if anybody thinks there's something when they're not, they deceive themselves. You probably like, well, Doc, that ain't true for me because I am something. This don't apply to me. It said anybody thinks there's something that when they're not. I am something. I am somebody. You pull a Jesse Jackson on us. I am somebody. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel like you are somebody, but what Paul is getting at is being high-minded, being arrogant. Y'all, it's hard to be arrogant when you ain't made it to the destination where you're heading. Can y'all record that? It's hard to be arrogant when you yourself haven't arrived. Come on, record it. It's hard. That's the last note I'm going to give you today. It's hard to be arrogant when you yourself hadn't arrived. I'm sorry, y'all. I just don't see how people can be arrogant and ain't got nothing. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't see how people can be arrogant and you broke. No, when you ain't got no money in your pocket, you need to be speaking to everybody. Are y'all listening to me? Lord, I got hiccups. This is a word this morning. You ain't got no money, you need to be speaking to everybody. You need to be nice to everybody. Now, I ain't saying be desperate. What I am saying is, when you broke and you have not arrived and made it, number one, if you're not broke and you've arrived and made it, you don't have a right to be arrogant. Let me be clear. I just, folks take sound bites and run. When you have arrived and you got money, you don't have a right to be arrogant. But Lord knows, if you ain't arrived and you ain't got no money, you ought to be the last one arrogant. It ought to be easy for you to be humble and humble yourself. Are y'all listening to me? So, y'all, you can't be arrogant when you ain't arrived yourself, but you have to understand that when you do act like that, you're deceiving yourself. You're trying to fool all of us to having us believe that you are something you are not. And the beautiful thing about being who you are instead of being who you are not. Let me say that again. The beautiful thing about being who you are versus being something you are not is, guess what? You don't ever have to change. I quit. You never have to change. When you're just you ain't got to worry about changing. It's funny. People be forgetting who they are in the moment and be showing up as the other version of them, and it ain't appropriate because they forgot to change. It's a lot of work, y'all, when you're not being yourself. Not being yourself creates a lot of work. I'm in this environment. Which one I got to be? Oh, I'm with these people. Which me I got to be? I'm with these people. Which one I got to be? Me or my alter ego? No, 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 no. Why don't you just try being yourself? Watch and be humble with it. And be humble with it. Y'all, this bless anybody? Let me make a note here. We're going to pick up Galatians chapter 6, verse 4. Let's pick up here next Sunday for part 2 of this. And I'm going to get through this next week. I hope. Galatians chapter 6, verse 4. Let me right here, start here. So I keep track of where I am. This bless anybody today? If it did, fill it up with hearts. Come on, quickly, fill it up with hearts. If this was a word for you today, fill it with hearts. This is a powerful word because look, this is all connecting to the fact that we have to realize that our biggest enemy and our biggest friend is both ourselves. Us. It's us. We are our biggest enemy. We are our biggest friend. We are our biggest ally. We are our biggest supporter. And when you recognize this, you move like that. That's how you move. You don't move any other way. So this forces us to show up, hopefully, should force us to show up the right way. All right? So this is going to be good. This is going to be a powerful word. And you gotta carry yourself in that kind of humility where you recognize you ain't in competition with nobody. You're not trying to impress nobody. You're not trying to be seen by nobody. You're not trying to be praised by nobody. You're just doing what you do. The Bible tells us that if we humble ourselves before the hand of God, he will exalt us in due time. The way up, y'all, is down. Sorry what I said? The way up in God is down. The way up in the world is to go up, to be seen, to be heard, to be busy. God's way ain't like that. God's way is simple. If you want to go up, humble yourself. Get control of yourself and humble yourself. And then if you do that, he said, then I will exalt you when? In due time. Y'all, come on, put your prayer requests in the comments tonight, today. Was this a good message? Did this make sense at all? Come on. I know this was a powerful Sunday morning message. And I want you to know I'm praying for you. If you got a prayer request, go ahead and type it in the comments so that we can see it as we watch it or go back and watch the replay. I like to go back and watch the comments on the replay, especially the prayer part. But if you've got a prayer request that is too personal, that we cannot read on the air or see on the air, that you don't want to be seen, you can email your prayer request to info@rehabcc.org. That's info@rehabcc.org and put in the subject line prayer request. Okay, just put in the subject line prayer request. I've got to have that subject line so that email can be routed to me. We can take a look at it and make sure that we're praying for you. Yes, 408 Monday through Friday, I am up praying over your request. And I want you to know I'm going to be praying for you this week. This is Thanksgiving week. And so I'm praying for those of you that have lost loved ones, those that have lost family members, those of you that are going through difficult times in your life. I tell my clients right now, this is always the toughest part of the year for me in terms of my work because people are really depressed. People are depressed by what they don't have, what's left. What's left them, what's died, major changes or even minor changes in their lives. And I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be encouraged. All right. Don't let this holiday season beat you down. I really want you to look at this holiday season as an opportunity to be encouraged, to show up in spaces as the best version of you. And if you haven't gotten there yet, put your prayer requests in the comments. I'm going to pray for you this week. I want you to have a good Thanksgiving. I want you to have a good holiday weekend for those of you that are going to be out shopping and doing all of that stuff. You know, I want you to have a good holiday weekend, all of those things. I want you to show up. I want you to show up with Thanksgiving first for yourself. Right? Things may not be where you want them to be, but I'm here to tell you, God is still a God of progress. All right? And I want you to know I'm praying for you, and I want you to have a fantastic week. Come on. Connect your hands like this as a sign symbol of faith. Touch and agree with me. Come on, do it quickly. Touch and agree with me. Click your names like this is a sign of symbol of faith. We're going to touch and agree right now that God would certainly answer your prayers, whether you've typed them in the comments or maybe you've left them in our inbox. God's going to answer your prayers, make ways, open doors, and meet needs like never before. Connect your hands like this is a sign of symbol of faith. I want you to touch and agree and pray with me. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you today for your word. Thank you this morning for this time of gathering and sharing you've given us. It's my prayer, God, that something was said in this word that has encouraged someone to be reminded that our greatest friend is the mirror. It is keeping ourselves and what we're doing first so that we show up in spaces with the grace necessary to extend it to other people as they need it. God, we don't want to grow up hard and cold and rude. We don't want to grow up in the space where we don't extend to people the same grace we've needed, extend to people the same great mercy we've needed, extend to people the same understanding we've needed. Help us, God, to position ourselves to show up and to handle people in a way in which we want to be handled. God, for every prayer request that's on the line, every prayer request that's been typed in the comments, every prayer request that's been sent to our email box, every prayer request that's on the heart and minds of someone this morning, that maybe they are struggling so much with the holiday season and memories of the past that it's been hard for them to even sit through this message. I call their name out to you right now, God, that you would answer even their prayers, that you would make ways, open doors, meet needs, that you would even grant heart's desires, the desires that we can see, that we know about, even those unspoken, unseen desires that we all have. God, we lift them up to you now because we know you're a prayer answering God. We thank you in advance because this will be a week that is filled with more windows, more open doors, more new opportunity, more and better favor in all of our lives. And God, we promise you this: when you bless us, we won't take the credit, but we will give your name all of the glory that belongs to you. God, we count these things done and we believe you for them. In Jesus' name, amen. Come on, type in the comments quickly. It is so. It is so. Hurry, y'all. It is so. God's answering prayer. God's making ways. God's opening doors. God's meeting needs. God is doing what he does. God is Godding. God is Godding, and we're so excited about that. Come on, type in the comments quickly. It is so. It is so. It is so. God's answering prayers. He's making ways. He's opening doors, and we're so excited about that. Listen. If anybody wants to be saved, I want to pray for you really quickly. If anybody wants to be saved, if anybody wants to dedicate their life to Christ, you are tuned into the right broadcast. The Bible tells us in Romans 10:9, and I paraphrase to give you the remix so you understand it, that if we confess with our mouths, believe with our hearts that Jesus Christ, in essence, is who he is and did what he did for us, we are saved. You've got to believe salvation in order to receive it. And you can't believe the salvation story without believing the Jesus story. So if you want to be saved this morning, I want you to stop what you're doing. I don't care where you are. If you're driving, pull over. If you are out to brunch, put down the bacon. Maybe you're on the phone and listening to me in the loudspeaker. Get off the phone. I need your attention because right now, God's going to come right where you are and he wants to save you. He wants to fill you. All right? So if you want to be saved, I want you to stop where you are and I want you to repeat this prayer of faith with me. Okay? Say this with me. I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect. I've made some mistakes. I have some flaws. I even have some failures. But I do believe that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. He lived on this earth just like I'm living. He suffered, bled, and died on the cross. But 3 days later, rose again for my sins. Because he lives, I can live, and I am saved. My friends, if you prayed that prayer of faith, I want to welcome you to the royal family of Jesus Christ. You've made an incredible decision today. You've made a decision that literally is going to change the trajectory of your entire life. And I'm so excited about it. I'm excited that you've made Jesus your choice. Now, do me a favor. Go find you a church home somewhere. Go find your ministry where you can continue to grow in your faith and develop in your faith and be everything that God's called you to be and more. Listen, y'all, You've got to surround yourself with other believers. Maybe it's at church, maybe it's at work, maybe it's within your family, so that you can continue to build up your faith. Maybe you tune in, and you're like, Doc, I want to be a part of rehab. I grow here. I want to be a part of the rehab experience. Continue to tune in right here. I would love to walk alongside you on your faith journey and empower you with God's word so that you can be better today than what you were yesterday. Right? That's what we want for you, and that's what we want for your life. But I just want you to continue to grow in your faith. Listen, I love you guys. I'm praying for you. If you want to give, feel free to give. I'll put the ways to give on the screen. Feel free to continue to give as you desire. Certainly, I'm doing so. I'm just led to do it. But there's no pressure at all. I want to challenge you to give. I got so much feedback last week from people who said, Pastor, I just still want to give. I want to sow. I have to. And I'm the same way. There's no pressure on anyone. I want to challenge you to give today if you want to give. But if not, do me a favor. Keep praying for us. I'm so excited to be here sharing with you this morning. And man, I can't wait to next week. Next Sunday is going to be powerful, a powerful word. More than that, I can't wait to Tuesday. Join us this Tuesday for Life Study. Again, 7:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me write that time down. I don't know why I didn't have it in my notes. 7:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we should be on all networks. All right. We should be on all networks. And I can't wait to see you. I mean that sincerely. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to engage with you Tuesday for Life Study. And of course, don't forget your scripture for the week. Psalms 91 is our scripture for the week. And you can join us for Explanation Thursday this coming Thursday. All right. I love y'all. I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. Have a great, happy, prosperous, fun, fulfilled Thanksgiving. And find an opportunity to be a witness to someone else. And watch God really bless you as only he can. I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. Have a fantastic week. Peace and blessings. We'll see you Tuesday. Be safe this week. Bye now.